Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new. So today in this video I'm going to be talking about my monthly expenses here in Canada as a student. A quick disclaimer is that this does not apply to everyone. Just because you move to Canada does not mean that you will have the same expenses as me. It also varies from province to province and from city to city as well, and as well as on your lifestyle, and these are just my expenses alone. I live alone and there is nobody else that I have to look after, so please keep that in mind. I'm an international student. I moved to Canada in 2020, I think 2021, and I am an engineering student and I'm doing my bachelor's degree with co-op, and this is a degree where I study and work at the same time. Not at the same time, but some semesters you get to study and some you get to work as an intern. So that is, you know, a bit of a backstory before I move on. So first and foremost would be rent. It takes up the largest portion of my monthly expenses so far, and I pay $560. I live in a city in Alberta, so please keep that in mind. The rent varies a lot throughout Canada, and for me, I pay $560. I don't live in a dorm or university residence. This is a student accommodation where I share a house with other students as well. Everything is shared, utilities are included. We have water, heat, Wi-Fi, electricity all included in the rent, and that's $560 a month. So my next big expense is my phone bill. My phone bill comes around to $90 per month, and that is including how much I'm paying for my phone as well as the services. So for the services, I have 72 gigabytes of data and I have unlimited texts and calling throughout Canada. So the next expense would be groceries. I pay somewhere around $150 to $200. Sometimes I spend $150 or even a bit less, and sometimes I spend more than $150. So it's always better to round up your expenses. So I would say $200 per month for groceries. One thing to keep in mind when you're a student in Canada is that there are different stores that sell the same things at different prices. Now the quality may vary, but I usually go to the Canadian Superstore, which seems like the most basic superstore where you get reasonable prices and, you know, the quality is good. It's not bad. I'm not shopping at fancy shopping, you know, like a farmer's market. That if I do that, then my expenses would be a lot higher. Obviously, some days I don't want to cook and I just want to eat out at restaurants. So for that, I budget around $100 per month. It varies month to month. Sometimes it goes beyond that. Sometimes it comes, you know, less than that. And even with groceries, it's the same thing. So I just like play around with the numbers a bit, but $100 would be a good budget for that. Now, the next thing that I would like to talk about is sometimes you want to buy clothes. Sometimes you just have these small little expenses. Like just last month, I bought some extension cord, you know, stuff like batteries and stuff like that, or like decoration stuff like lamps and whatever, right? So that for that I budget around $100 per month for those miscellaneous expenses. So one other expense that I would like to state over here is my entertainment purposes. So it's like miscellaneous. It is more like a wiggle room for when I have to go on road trips, and that is where I fit these in the budget. So it's like $100 for that. And sometimes sometimes I don't spend any of it, and sometimes I spend a little more. So it's not a fixed expense, but $100 would be a nice ballpark figure for it. I feel like being away from home, it's really good to have this something for you to enjoy, and that I allow myself to have at least $100 for that purpose. That is it for the expenses. The total comes up to $1,150 per month, and that is like a good estimate of how much I spend on average every month. Sometimes it goes a bit higher and sometimes it's way less depending on what I'm doing. Like for example, if I'm doing a semester, I rarely have time to go out. I rarely have time to travel. So at that point, it's less than 1,000 even. So that should give you a good idea. Now, 1,150 gives me a bit of a wiggle room. I also want to note that I don't pay for transit because that is included in my fees. Whatever my fee is for my university, in that my UPass, so the transit card, is included, and that basically helps me go everywhere. And I live quite close to university, so I don't really need to spend much on like a bus pass. That is my bus pass. That should give you a good idea of how much you need to spend as a student here in Canada if you're living like me. However, I must note that when I was a student in first or second year, I remember my total coming up to $860 per month. So I would say that is definitely doable. It also depends on how frugal you are or how lavish you are with your spendings. For now, I feel like I'm somewhere in between, but when I was a first or second year student, I was kind of very mindful about my expenses, how much I need to be spending, because I was saving for my tuition fee. Now I can't imagine living on $860, but I will definitely say that it's doable. So as of now, I'm sustaining this living expenses by myself, and how I do that is right now I'm a full-time intern or co-op student, as you may say, and I'm working full-time, so it's 40 hours per week. So 40 hours per week as a co-op student, and I'm in my final year. I'm almost in my final year. This is my last co-op term, and I have 8 months of university left, and then I'm done with school for good. I don't think I'm going back. Just kidding, I don't know about that. But yeah, this is my last co-op term, and engineering co-ops, they make somewhere around $60,000 per year to, like, let's say $80,000 a year in their last co-op term. I think that's a good average. So yeah, the income is really great. You make a lot more than minimum wage, and this is only coming from like an engineering perspective. CS students would be earning probably a lot more if you get a job. Being a co-op student has helped me to not only survive as a student here, but also save up for my university tuition. So if you would like me to make a separate video of that, then please let me know in the comments. I had this video where I had a detailed co-op, like a whole video, but then it got deleted because my account got hacked. Anyways, another thing I would like to touch up on is other sources of income that I have. I wouldn't say sources, it's more like a freelance thing that I do. I also tutor students on the side. Before this, like, this has been like a really long-term thing, and I really love to do this. It's not only for money. So even when I was back at home, I used to do this as well, where I was tutoring students from Canada, being there, and that was making me good money. So I feel like this has been a really good way to make money as a student. So before, I was using certain websites to do all this tutoring, like freelancing stuff. I was also like drop shipping and all that stuff, but anyways, that was like back then, back when I was back in my hometown. But right now, I feel like my students mainly come from word of mouth. How that works is there's like this network created. So let's say I have one student, then that student recommends me to another student because they probably find me good or helpful, and that's how I get students. And it's up to me to decide how much I charge for each of them. For example, if it's like a higher let's say grade 11, 12, I would charge somewhere between $35 to $40 per hour. So it depends, and it's very flexible. You can arrange your time. So that is something I recommend as a student here. If you want to make some extra bucks, that you can do that, because I am doing that, and it's like very helpful for me, because let's say I have a lot of expenses this month to cover, then I can just do that and cover. Let's say I do like 10 hours, that covers a lot of my expenses for me. But that's also like a commitment you need to do on the side. And there are other stuff that was helping me make money. Like a year back, I was taking on brand deals, and that was making me like extra $200-300. Another thing that I would love to touch upon is taxes. So when I first came to Canada, I used to only hear about, oh, you know, taxes are really high and all that, and I had no idea on how to file taxes. Turns out filing taxes is really important, because it not only gives you the money that you might need, like there are some incentives like climate action, there are some GST rebates that you get like some, you know, free bucks, and it's really beneficial. encourage everyone to like file their taxes. And one important thing about taxes is a lot of the taxes are waived off when you're a student because your expenses is probably higher than your income. So when your employer, when you're employed and your employer gives you tax forms, please be sure to fill that out. There is a place where you can tick on, are your expenses higher than your income? And that you have to tick. If you tick yes, they will hold back certain taxes, so you have to pay less taxes. You will also get a lower return. But yes, I think for me personally, I feel like having lesser tax being cut off from my paycheck is way better. I think a huge chunk of your earnings usually goes to taxes depending on how much you earn. However, if you do that one thing, it saves you a lot of money. Only tick that box if it's really true, if your expenses are more than your income, because then you don't want to be committing a tax fraud. Anyways, I would love to do more like useful content on my channel. So yeah, let me know what you guys would love to hear from me, and I'd love to make that video and share information. So that is it for today, guys. I hope you guys found this video helpful. I am going to probably make a different video on how much co-ops earn, or like the earnings of a co-op student, or how much experience you guys have, how useful it is, whether you guys should take co-op or not, maybe in another video, because it's like a whole different topic, a lot to touch on there. And anything else that you guys might have ideas that I might have the info but not the ideas, so just make sure to leave a comment and let me know if you guys need any information from me. Apart from that, I hope you guys enjoy your time, day or night, wherever you are, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.